Hello, this is I Go Travel with Don Barnett. Well, this is part 2, and we're going to talk about the bears of Banff, and especially the Black Grizzly of Whiskey Creek. Come along, I'll tell you the stories. I remember sleeping in a park's campground, in a tent, inside an electric fence area. The bears were on the outside and free. The sleeping tourists, like me, we were safe inside the fence. Humans could walk across the gate like this, more commonly called a cattle gate, but animals, like bears, could not. We were safe in the wild. It wasn't like in the early days when there was nothing between you and the bears sometimes. I remember as a kid, we went to Banff quite a bit. With my parents I went, and we used to stay at the Tunnel Mountain Campground and sleep in tents. And there were big grizzlies all over the place in those days. I remember going out to the dump. They never had a transfer station or any means to pick up garbage. They just hauled it all to the dump. And the big bears came around. And they ate. And I remember seeing those things. They looked to me to be the size of houses. And I remember back at the campground one time, the bears often came around later in the evening, maybe around supper time. Maybe they were looking for some food. No doubt they were. And there was some neighbors, some other campers next door to us, and they had all of their food out on the table. And the woman was standing there, and this big bear came along, up behind her. And he was getting closer, and I thought, you know, maybe I should tell her that bear's coming. So I yelled over to her, and I said, "You've got a visitor." She says, "What do you mean?" I said, "Turn around, you've got a visitor." She turned around, and that big bear was only maybe a couple of meters from her. I can still hear her scream, just like in the comic books. Eek! And she ran. Well, the husband ran over behind the table and grabbed up a knife, a table knife. And it was a standoff between the bear and the tourist. And the bear decided, lucky for the tourist, that maybe he wasn't all that hungry. Because if he had been, he'd have eaten the tourist and his table knife. But anyway, the bear turned around and ambled away. Banff struggled with how to handle bears. Parks Canada was the referee between conservationists, environmentalists, and tourism promoters. It was obvious that bear and human contact would eventually lead to confrontation. So Parks Canada enforced a strict rule. Leaving garbage out and feeding wildlife could not be tolerated. The public basically agreed and obeyed. However, the bears kept coming around, and the problem area was at the train station right in town, right under their noses, but they didn't know it at first. Food scraps from the restaurant at the train station were thrown along the far side of the track, and the bears came to eat it. The tourists could see and photograph the bears right from the safety of their train windows. No one else knew because the parked train hid the view of the bears. The townspeople had obeyed the law, but Canadian Pacific had a tourism business to conduct until they got caught. If you ever go into the Parks Canada Museum in Banff, you will see this big bearskin hanging on the wall. It is no ordinary bearskin. It is the Black Grizzly of Whiskey Creek. Back behind me on these Vermilion Flats, a little creek runs through there somewhere. And the old-timers used to call it Whiskey Creek, because that's where the bootleggers hung out and had their bootleg stills, and they made their whiskey. And that is also where the Black Grizzly that we're talking about hung out too. Here is a few pictures of some bears I've taken over the years. But getting back to my story, this big black bear from Whiskey Creek outsmarted park rangers for a long time. And it symbolizes the end of a Parks Canada policy that had tolerated bears in the town of Banff just for the sake of tourism. It was the end of an era of the old way of how once things had been. Parks Canada was dealing with a new and very difficult bear. This bear got into food and other things and was hunted by park wardens for a long time. But the bear had two advantages. One, he was smarter than most people at what he did. This is a picture I took of a young cub learning all about fishing. But that nuisance bear in Banff was really good at getting into places and taking some free food. Second, the park rangers did not know it, but in the beginning, they were hunting the wrong kind of bear. They were hunting a black bear when it was actually a grizzly. There are differences in these bears. Black bears originated in the mountains and are tree climbers. Grizzlies, on the other hand, originated on the prairies and do not climb trees. Grizzlies have been all killed off from the prairies and have had to retreat to their last safety or survival area, the mountains. Grizzlies have that hump on their back between the shoulder blades that you can see in this bear here. That hump is actually a big muscle that enables grizzlies to claw and dig tree bark and roots in search of bugs to eat. One more general difference. A black bear will kill you and then eat you. A grizzly, on the other hand, will only kill you, but will not eat you. That is why there are instances where people have survived a grizzly attack by playing dead. The grizzly thinks you are dead and then wanders away. But don't play dead with a black bear. It could start to eat you. The colors of black bears and grizzly bears can overlap. Black bears tend to be black, but they can range from black to brown. And a grizzly bear tends to be lighter colored, more brown, but they can range right into the black color as well. Those who had seen the nuisance bear said it was black, so everyone assumed it was a black bear. Park wardens set out to kill a big black bear. They saw one, they shot it, and claimed to all that the nuisance bear problem was now over. Everyone relaxed. A night or two later, another bear raid, another garden destroyed, garbage taken. They realized they had shot the wrong bear. The park wardens, now more careful than ever, looked for another bear, and they shot a second bear and announced to all, just like the Mounties, that they too had got their man. But next night, same problem. The bear came back. The wardens were certain that now, this third time, they had got the right bear. Again, no, the bear, the nuisance bear, was alive and well and came back to raid more gardens, destroy more gardens, and take away leftover garbage. Public sentiment started to change in favor of the bears. The people got a little nervous about the shooting of bears near the town. And one entrepreneurial minded person who sold t-shirts had the t-shirts printed up, and on it he put kind of like a hockey score or a baseball score, between two teams. And the t-shirt said, Bears 3, Wardens 0. And the t-shirts sold like hotcakes. Everybody in Banff was wearing them. But the Wardens did not have to win 3 times. They only had to win once. I told you before, in the Parks Canada Museum in Banff, there is this big bearskin hanging on the wall. It is no ordinary bearskin. It is the Black Grizzly of Whiskey Creek. For the last number of probably decades, Canadian Pacific Railway has been the largest killer of wildlife in Banff National Park. The trains hit those animals. The trains carry grain from the prairies, and the grain jiggles off the bottom of the railway cars, and it's a feed trough for wildlife. Now, the railway has said they would slow down the trains, but no one ever saw any proof of that. The railway also put electric pads out in areas where the wildlife seemed to come to the tracks to nibble on the grain. And those electric pads shocked the wildlife, and they tend to stay away from that. But someone was saying that maybe the railway, with it's a big corporation, they should build overpasses and tunnels like they have along the highway for the animals to cross the tracks. But, if you do too much of that, there's too many animals, and now the animals are coming back into the town of Banff, and that would create another problem. So this whole business of wildlife management in a park like Banff is really a tricky, multi-dimensional thing. Right now, there could be more bears around. But the bears need a certain amount of territory to roam that they claim their own. And if they get too crowded, then there's bear fights and bear killings. And, wildlife management is a big, complicated scene. But we can't solve all of the problems of the world. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and you had, I don't care if you enjoyed it or not. Did you learn anything? Did it put some thoughts across your mind? That's the important part. We'll see you down the trail. Hit the subscribe button, and that helps us bring more of these videos onto the internet. This is I Go Travel with Don Barnett. Au revoir, mes amis. We'll see you down the trail. Do you want to hear some more bear stories? Like it says here, in yellow, just Google my website, I Go Travel with donbarnett.com. And in that website, go to the travelogues. And in the travelogues, click on the BC section. And like it says there, click the videos. In that BC section, I've got one on the Yellowhead Highway and one on Prince Rupert. And I tell some bear stories in each one of those videos. Okay, let's ride it on out.